On August 24th, 1995, something incredible happened. A piece of software didn't just launch, it absolutely exploded into the public consciousness. I mean, it was fueled by this marketing blitz that was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. And it completely changed our relationship with technology. This is the story of the operating system that brought the personal computer to the masses, Windows 95.
A quantum leap. Now, that's a really powerful statement. But you know what? It's completely accurate. Windows 95 wasn't just another upgrade. It was a total reinvention. It's the thing that transformed the home computer from a niche hobbyist's tool into an essential household appliance. And we're about to see exactly how it did that.
So, to really get a feel for this leap, you have to see the before and after. Over on the left, you've got the old world, this clunky, kind of disconnected experience of MS-DOS and Windows 3.1. But then on the right, you see the clean, integrated world of Windows 95. This was the huge shift from cryptic commands to the intuitive desktop we all basically still use today. Okay, so before 1995, just getting a computer to do what you wanted it to do felt like a battle. Seriously, it was this world of text commands, really confusing interfaces, and all these hidden complexities that, for most people, was a huge barrier to entry. The whole experience was just fragmented. You'd have to bounce between a text-based DOS prompt and then this graphical shell called Windows 3.1. Naming a file was a puzzle. You got 8 characters, that's it. Want to install a new sound card? Well, get ready to spend your weekend configuring things called IRQs and DMA channels. And the worst part? One single program crashing could take your entire system down with it. It was a nightmare. So Microsoft saw all this frustration, and they saw a massive opportunity. Back in 1992, they started this internal project called Project Chicago. And the goal wasn't just to update Windows. Oh no, the goal was to build a brand new operating system for everyone, pretty much from the ground up. This whole journey took more than 3 years of really intense development. They even did something pretty new at the time. They let the public test it out through a preview program, which just built up all this anticipation. And it all led to this one massive, coordinated global launch in August of 1995. The ambitions for Project Chicago were just huge. First, get rid of that separate MS-DOS layer and build one integrated system. Second, upgrade the whole thing to a much more powerful 32-bit architecture. Third, make it stable, so one bad app wouldn't crash everything. And finally, and this was crucial, design an interface so simple that literally anyone could use it, even on the pretty basic computers people had back then. Now, this secret sauce to all this stability was a feature called preemptive multitasking. Think of it like this. In the old system, all the programs were supposed to politely take turns using the computer's power. The problem was, if one program was rude or just broke, it could hog all the resources and freeze everything solid. Windows 95 introduced a traffic cop, the operating system itself, that directed traffic and kept everything moving smoothly. This single change was the foundation for its massive leap in stability. But, having a great product isn't enough. You've got to tell people about it. And Microsoft didn't just tell people, they created a cultural phenomenon. The launch of Windows 95 wasn't just a tech release, it was marketed with the budget and the fanfare of a summer blockbuster movie. Get this, Microsoft spent $200 million just on advertising. To put that in perspective, the entire industry-wide marketing push was estimated at $1 billion. This wasn't about selling software, this was about selling a cultural shift. They basically pioneered the kind of blockbuster tech launch we now expect from companies like Apple, creating an event that nobody could possibly ignore. And the hype was absolutely everywhere. I mean, they lit up the Empire State Building in Windows colors. They hung a massive banner from the CN Tower. In the UK, they bought out an entire day's printing of the Times newspaper and just gave it away for free. And for the first time ever, you had people lining up at midnight, not for a concert, not for a movie, but for an operating system. Just incredible. Of course, every revolution needs an anthem, right? So for a campaign built around this brand new start button, what could possibly be more perfect than Start Me Up by the Rolling Stones? For a reported $3 million, Microsoft licensed one of the most famous rock songs on the planet to be the soundtrack for their launch. They even made a 30-minute cyber sitcom with Jennifer Aniston and Matthew Perry, who were at the absolute peak of their Friends fame, to explain all the new features. The CD itself came loaded with fun stuff, including music videos and a cool game called Hover. It was all designed to make Windows 95 feel less like a tool and more like an exciting new part of mainstream culture.
So the marketing created this huge spectacle, but the big question was, could the product actually live up to the hype? Well, for millions of new users, the answer was a resounding yes. Windows 95 introduced a whole new, intuitive language for how we interact with computers.
At the core of this new experience was this simple, powerful logic. The Start button was your gateway to everything. The taskbar down at the bottom showed you what you were working on and let you switch between things instantly. And Windows Explorer gave you a clear, simple way to see all your files. It was an organizational system that just made sense. It also tackled one of the biggest headaches of that era, installing new hardware. Plug and play was the dream of being able to plug a printer or a modem into your computer and have it just work. Now, it wasn't perfect. Critics sometimes called it plug and pray, but when it did work, it was like magic, and it was a critical step toward making PCs truly user-friendly. Here's another thing that sounds so simple today, but it was a huge innovation: long file names. Being able to name a file My Vacation Photos from 1995 instead of something like VACPH095.jpg, that was a revelation. It let people organize their digital world using plain human language for the first time. And the list just goes on. The desktop became an active workspace, not just a pretty backdrop. My Computer gave you an easy-to-understand view of your system. And of course, the recycle bin gave everyone that crucial safety net when deleting files. So many of these ideas were so good that they've become the standard we expect from every single computer today. The launch was a massive commercial success. I mean, it sold 1 million copies in the first 4 days alone. But its real legacy isn't just in the sales numbers. It's in how completely it redefined personal computing for the next 3 decades. And the result was total market dominance. Just look at this. By the end of 1998, only 3 years after launch, Windows 95 and its successor controlled nearly 75% of the entire desktop market. It wasn't just a successful product, it literally became the standard. The influence was so profound that even its startup sound, that iconic 6-second jingle composed by the legendary Brian Eno, it became a cultural artifact. It was recently selected for the National Recording Registry, recognized as one of the most significant sounds of its time. How cool is that? When you really look at the core interface elements we use every day, they are direct descendants of Windows 95. The Start menu, the taskbar, the desktop with all its icons, this entire way of working was established back in 1995. It was just so effective, so intuitive, that it has remained the fundamental design for personal computers ever since. Which, of course, brings us to the final question. Was this the most important software release of all time? Well, think about it. It tamed the incredible complexity of a 32-bit architecture and wrapped it in a simple, friendly interface. It used a massive marketing wave to turn a piece of utility software into a genuine cultural event. And most importantly, it opened the door for millions of people to bring a computer into their home for the very first time, setting the stage for the connected world we all live in today.